Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 3 p.m. here in New Vienna, where it is currently very lightly snowing. A lot of snow here. I've had enough of snow. I'll talk about that more in a second. But first, I want to welcome everybody to another live stream. It is January 2nd, 2021, Saturday. Welcome, everybody. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Saturday, long run day for me. I had a pretty good run out there. Felt really good. It was cold, but not nearly as cold as I thought it would be. And I wasn't sure if I was going to get that long run in based basically on the temperature, but I did, and I felt good. So I felt real good about it. So I'm in a good mood, but I'm tired. Hopefully you guys are doing okay. Let's say hi to everybody in the podcast version listening in. Thanks for tuning in on the audio only version. And hopefully you guys are having a good run, and everyone watching this on YouTube after the fact, not live, welcome. I appreciate you guys as well. So before we get started, and before I welcome everyone else that's here live, I do want to talk about this little icon. It's in the left-hand corner. It's from the Rambling Runner Virtual Summit. I've done a very bad job of promoting it, but I've been invited to be a speaker at this event. It's a 2 or 3 day, 15 through 17, 3-day virtual summit, kind of like a running conference. Or like the other way I think about it is like when you go to like a big marathon and there's the expo and there's like all the stuff that you can like rummage around and go by. But then there's also like sometimes there's speakers and stuff that you can go and listen to. And you're always like, I'm not going to go and sit and watch some people talk because I got to rest and I got to race tomorrow. It's like that, but you don't have to worry about racing tomorrow. So pretty cool. It'll be something like that. And I'm going to be talking about carbon plated shoes. So that's why this picture, I wanted to make my picture look like iron. Like, how do I make it? There we go. I wanted to make my picture look like Iron Chef. So I can't do this. There. I wanted to make this picture look like Iron Chef. So I like holding up all my shoes. So that's what I was going to be doing. So I'm thinking I'm going to be doing a live session so people can come and ask me questions. I mean, you guys can ask me questions here and stuff too, but I won't be the only one talking. During my talk, I'll be the only one talking, but there'll be lots of other people. The other talks that I'd be very interested in seeing are from Mario Fraioli. He's going to be talking about transitioning from road marathons to ultra distance. So that's pretty cool. James McCurdy's going to be giving a talk too. Carrie Tollefson's going to be there. Sarah Bishop. I mean, they're all going to be there virtually, but they'll be there, and it's going to be pretty cool. So you can use promo code Kofuzi if you want to join. So just wanted to plug that really quick. All right. Ben Browning is here, starting us off saying, can we talk about our outlook and ambition for 2021? Yeah, absolutely. For sure. My outlook is just going to be about connecting and just giving people hugs once we can do that again. That's kind of like what I want to do. I want to give hugs. I want to do high fives. I'm going to just do all that. And my ambition is to just run a lot and run with people. I mean, I kind of say that every year for my running goals, but this year just means so much different. It means so many different things now. So that's kind of my outlook and ambition. What is your guys? Chris asks, at the Rambling Runner Summit, will you cover cornfields and candy spaghetti? Probably not, unless someone asks about it. I'll have like a general kind of structure, doing like a not a 101, maybe a 201 on carbon fiber plates, but it's going to be pretty comprehensive, more comprehensive, and kind of, I've got like 30 or 45 minutes, so I can talk way more about them than I ever have in like a YouTube video. But hopefully I'll be able to, answer people's questions. That's kind of, it's like the most exciting thing that I'm most excited for. Carlos Sejas is here, says hi. Runner Reviews, good to see you again, man. Welcome. Ines is here. Dr. Funk says, good afternoon. I ran long today and now feel so lazy. I'm just lying here watching Netflix and eating a ton of pizza. That pizza emoji makes me hungry every time I see it. But I'm starving right now. I just ate a whole bunch of donuts. My mother-in-law made homemade donuts. One of my daughters was like, Grandma, can you make us some donuts today? And then like 2 hours later, maybe 3 hours later, because it takes time for the dough to like rise and stuff, there was homemade donuts with a really delicious glaze. So I just pounded a whole bunch of donuts, ate those, and then there's still some like Christmas cookies left over, and I dunked them in some of the extra frosting. So I'm on a sugar high. I got some coffee to kind of even it out, but otherwise I'm tired because I mentioned the snow. I love snow. I love running in snow. I don't really drive that much, so like I don't care about like the road conditions and stuff and how it affects snow. But like my kids also love snow, and like every day they want to play in the snow, and like I want to be like, look, I was just out there for like an hour and a half. Today I was out there for like 2 hours and 10 minutes. I'm like, I don't want to go back out in the snow. And they're like, well, you got to go out and play in the snow. We want to play in the snow. So I'm like, I can't argue with that. But I'm just exhausted. I'm so tired. And I'm starving. I'm just always hungry now because I'm getting like 2 workouts a day because the snow just won't melt here. David Prabhu says, happy Saturday, everyone. Happy Saturday to you, David. All right. Frank says, Carbon X1 at 126, yay or nay? I still haven't bought my second pair of Nova Blast. I mean, I didn't love the Carbon X, the first version. And so, I mean, I still have mine. They were good for, they're not like a good carbon racer, in my opinion. A lot of people love them to train with. I liked them for a long distance race where I was really concerned about, just being able to handle a 50K distance on the road. And so that's where it worked. But like, it's not my favorite carbon plate racer, but $126 is a pretty intriguing price. I don't know that you can get like a racing shoe at that price, but like, if you're looking at the Carbon X, you're at 126. I'm like, what about the endorphin speed? I mean, I know I'm pushing everyone to it, and I know not everyone loves it, but that's kind of just where I'm like, I'm not sure. Maybe I'd go with the endorphin speed instead. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at. But 126 is a compelling price. Chrissy, I was also working on afternoon coffee and a few powdered donut holes. Nice. All right. Sorry, I'm like way behind on the comments, everybody. JC says, for a runner, you have the most regular guy eating habits. It's hilarious. I mean, it's kind of bad in a lot of ways. And I feel like, for all the hard, I think a very valid critique, if someone were to critique kind of like my running overall, is that I spend a lot of time worrying about like, training techniques, technology, power numbers, heart rate monitors, but my sleep is terrible and I eat like a college kid sometimes, a lot of times. So like, the easiest, most impactful things I'm not doing or taking care of. So, I mean, there's that, but I'm also like, I'm still a parent of 2 kids. It's a good thing that I'm a vegetarian or mostly a vegetarian. Cause like, I definitely scavenge a lot of the kids' food, but like I can't imagine my chicken nugget consumption would just be astronomical if it wasn't for the fact that I don't eat chicken nuggets. So, there's kind of that. Yeah. Christopher Rochelle said 10 miles in the snow today. Ooh, first 5 listening to an economics book, last 5 listening to the Top Gun soundtrack. Unintentional recipe for a negative split. That's funny. What I mean, was this like an economics textbook that you have on audiobook, or were you just listening to like I don't know, you're listening to like Shumter like on audiobook form? I actually kind of think that would be not that terrible, but I don't know. I get nerdy with my audiobooks, I guess. Jody's here, says good day everyone. Awesome. Dr. Funk says I have a stride foot pod at my pace at the beginning, faster with the same power. I feel like this inherently makes no sense based on what watts are. I have no explanation for it. Do you? Faster with no power. The pace should be about the same. Yeah, I mean that kind of doesn't make a lot of sense. It should be the other way around. The same power should feel easier. So that way, like the same level of perceived effort should be letting you output faster pace, but also more power. So that's kind of what I would think. The other thing could be though, that if you're getting stronger, so certain things like going uphill, I mean, you might just be covering the distance more efficiently. So like it comes down to what is the power meter recording. So like other things like a more efficient foot strike, more efficient gait could make those changes. And if you're getting stronger and faster, I mean, those are things that I think I would expect to happen. But like, if you're running the same power, you shouldn't, but I don't know. I think there's ways it could make sense. I had to think about that a little bit, Dr. Funk. Danny Lou says, what do you suggest is a good value carbon plate running shoe? A balance of price, long mileage, and performance. Thank you. Two come to mind. One is not carbon at all. It's the Endorphin Speed. But that one, I mean, some people have been saying like they at like 200 miles, theirs is crapped out, or even at 100 miles. I've got 85 on mine, and they still feel great. But for a lot of people, the rubber on the outsole is wearing out really quickly as well. But I love that shoe. It's my favorite shoe of 2020. The other one that I would really take a look at is the Hyperion Elite 2. Not the one, but the Elite 2. Because it's got that DNA Flash midsole in there, I feel like that one's going to last forever. So that's another one that I would look at. I don't know what the Hyperion Elite 2 costs, though. So I'm not sure if it's a cheaper shoe or not. Yeah, those are the two that would kind of jump to mind. Jed Stickler says, hi, what would you recommend to add to the running shoe rotation along with the Nova Blast? Maybe Hyperion Tempo, or is V2 out at some point? I think the Nova Blast 2 will probably come out in the summer is what I'm thinking. So like, I wouldn't like be too eager on that. I feel like there's not going to be a ton of releases between like now and like March. It kind of slows down. But I would say if you have the Nova Blast, it depends on what you think of the Nova Blast. Because some people look at the Nova Blast and say, I love to run fast in it. So if you're that person, then I would say get something that you can run slower in. So like a Ride 13, Clifton 7, maybe even a Bondi 1080. So those are the kinds of shoes that I would look at. Or maybe even a Triumph. A Triumph, I think, would be a really good pairing with that. But if you like the Nova Blast for going longer and slower, which was what I liked, then I would look at something faster. I think a Hyperion Tempo would work out really well. It'd be two very different foot feels, though. The Hyperion Tempo is a little bit firm until you get real fast in it, or at least working hard in it. So that's kind of the other way I would look at it. I think another thing that would pair well with the Nova Blast in terms of something speedier would be like the Boston 9. I would like that, or an SL20. I mean, that's kind of like where my mind would be. If you want to stay with an ASICS, go with the Evo Ride. So that's another way you can do it. Will Willing says, interesting video on your channel. I learned I'm probably the oldest person to watch your channel at 64 years old. I don't think you're the oldest, Will. So, but like you're in good company. So, that's where I think it's great. I'm glad that I'm appealing to a variety of age groups. But as I get older too, I imagine that it will continue to skew higher, and I welcome that. It's going to be pretty awesome. So, let's see. Ben Browning says, I'd love to emulate Kofuzi, but in a specialized way, read personal fitness and endurance improvements for runners, especially over 40 to 60. Yeah, there we go. Nice. Carlos Cejas says, Pro versus Speed and why? I like the Speed more than the Pro, and that's primarily for me because I'm not that fast. I don't put too much power into my foot stride. So like the Pro has carbon in it, and I think that carbon's it's pretty firm, and I just don't think I'm loading it all that well. So like the only time I really love the Endorphin Pro is if I'm going fast. So I used it for like my 10K time trial. So that's where I like it. Or if I'm doing like marathon pace work when I'm running downhill. Because when you're running downhill, I just really feel like, I'm feeling like I'm moving faster, and I feel like I'm really hitting that carbon fiber plate and bending it. And it's the bending of it that gets you that bounce. And so that's why I don't like the Pro as much. Plus, I think that the power MPB in the Pro is a little bit firmer than it is in the Speed. Maybe that's just me, but I think it's a little bit firmer. So it's not as comfortable for me. And I just think that, my weight and my skill level is not, tuned for it. It seems to be tuned for someone that's a little bit stronger than me. Ben Y says, it looks like you're in 2004. Pixelation. Oh, am I? I don't know. The girls are streaming a movie right now. I mean, they're kind of always streaming something, but they just downloaded a movie. We rented Crudes. There's a new Crudes movie, I guess. But they're looking at it. They're just started watching it now. So maybe that's what it is. But I feel like, I don't know what's been going on. I don't know if maybe this computer just needs like a little bit of like some house cleaning, because I do feel like when I move fast too, it's getting jittery. So I don't know what that's all about. I gotta just do some house cleaning, I think. Running Merit says, "Hi, Kofuzi, any tips for new YouTubers starting a running channel?" I would say find what makes you unique and just hammer down on that. Just be super super niche down. So I think it's tempting for a lot of YouTubers starting a running channel to be like, I want to go and review like 50 shoes or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you want to do, go out and do it. So like there's channels that have taken that approach. But like the approach that I had was like, I like these 3 shoes and I run in them a bunch. And what are the kinds of videos that I can make with that kind of unique experience? So like those are the kinds of things that I would take a look at. So like the other thing that's an example is, I tell people all the time, if you're in another country, it's tempting to make the videos in English. So that way you're getting the American audience. But I also think that like, a YouTube channel like in Korean, I think would do well. I can't speak Korean well enough to do that. And I don't live in Korea. So like, I don't have those experiences, but like in Korea, there's got to be something that's very similar to like Marshalls and TJ Maxx here. I think that'd be a really interesting idea, or like some of the different cultural approaches to like running in Korea. Cause like, it's not like there's like high school track teams in Korea, at least as far as I'm aware. So like, how does an adult approach running? If you probably didn't run in high school. Maybe you did for fitness and stuff and like in school gym class, but like, so how do you approach that? So those are experiences that I don't have, that someone else might be like, that's just how I grew up. I don't even think that that's worth talking about. It is worth talking about because that's your audience. So like figure out who your audience is too. Hopefully that makes sense. Running Merit. Let's see. Someone's having some GPS issues. I missed that. I'm not sure what's going on. Brandon Lyko says 10-mile time trial today and got a PR. Nice. 109.15. Great work. Awesome. 6:55 pace. In preparation for a sub 130 half. Thanks for the inspiration. Well, great job, Brandon. That's a great speed. A 10-mile race. I really enjoy the 10-mile race distance. There's only one 10-mile race that I do. It's a Soldier Field 10-mile. It happens Memorial Day. Oh, I would love to be able to run that one this year. I don't think it's going to happen, but I would love to. And I'd love to take a crack at like really training for that 10-mile distance. I mean, it wouldn't have to be a tremendously long block, but just doing some more like speed specific work and really trying to see what I could do with that. 109.15, that's fast. Great work. All right. Let's see, let's scroll down a little bit. There we go. Kurt, let's get to that one. It says, hey all, had a few minutes, so hopping on here. Longish question coming, so I start here and finish the rest. I have a GoPro version 6 black, and the battery life has been pretty odd and poor lately. Let's see. I don't take a ton of video, but enjoy it. Would it be better off picking up the latest one or just getting a new battery and working it for a while and then get the current one when it goes on later? Well, I think then it goes on sale later. I would say, picking up a GoPro Hero 6 battery would probably be pretty cheap because I feel like that's 2 or 3 generations ago, right? In terms of batteries, because they don't change them every single model, but I feel like they've been changing like every model lately. So you could probably pick up a couple batteries cheap. That could hold you over until you're ready for something new. And I would say like with cameras, a lot of times, like if you're not itching to get the new one, just wait, So like it was hard for me to kind of figure that out too. Like when I bought this camera, my old one broke and I was like, oh, should I spend like $3,000 on a camera? And then I was like, no, I don't need to do that. Let's find a camera that can hold me over for a little while. And then, I ended up, it's everything that I need. I don't really feel like I'm missing much. Although like 4K at 120 frames per second or 4K at like 60 frames per second would be nice. I think that if I were trying to film other people, which is something that like I keep thinking that I would like to do more of, like I've been watching all these videos of these different teams. I've been watching a lot of the Team Boss videos lately, or like the 10-minute elite videos, or even like NAZ Elite, or the Brooks Beasts. If I were like chasing people around a track or chasing people on the road in a camera, I think 4K at 120 would be something I would invest in. But, for me, myself, like I don't take that camera out with me. So like the GoPro is enough for me. So I'm figuring out what's enough for me, and I'm fine. So I would probably recommend Kurt just get the battery. Mr. Random says, what do you think of IGTV or Facebook as a platform for reviewing shoe? I've toyed around with IGTV a lot. I don't even think Instagram likes Instagram TV that much. To be honest, they don't really treat it that well. Here's the problem. It's not searchable. So like a lot of times, like let's say I'm looking for a shoe. Let's say I'm looking for the 1080 version 11, like right when it comes out, and I'm like, oh, this new shoe's out. I want to find out some more information about it. Like I think Jameson Michael, Believe in the Run, they've already done their reviews of the 1080 version 11. So if I wanted to go find that on Instagram TV, that's buried. I have to scroll and scroll and scroll, and I don't know that there's a great way to search for that. So that's like the big problem with Instagram, is that it's not searchable. People have been like thinking like they're going to do that with Snapchat. They're going to do that with TikTok. They're going to do that with Instagram TV, but it's not searchable. So if you're just doing that to review shoes and you want to get that search hit, that's not the way to do it. And then like sometimes even for if I'm not like looking to buy a shoe, like I'm just not ready to watch like a shoe review video sometime. And so like I want to come back to it later. How do I find it? So like, that's the other thing about using that as a primary publication platform. I think the better idea would be to like post them all. You could shoot them all in like an IGTV friendly format, but then post them all to YouTube too. So you have that searchable format. Stevie76 watching the Iowa State game, apparently. I don't know. People were really upset around here because the Iowa bowl game got canceled, I think. I don't know. I don't really follow college football. Dr. Funk says, on the one hand, 4K sounds cool, but on the other hand, I'm watching most videos on an iPhone. Yeah, I mean, that's my main thing is like most people are watching it on an iPhone. We all presume that like most of us are watching it like on a nice new phone or maybe on a tablet that has like a pretty nice screen on it. But like, not that like, I mean, the majority of my views are in the US, and I guess I could look in my analytic to see like what kind of devices people are watching on. But I suspect that for a lot of the international views, they're not even going to be at 1080. So, I think 1080 is great. It makes it a little bit more digestible for bandwidth purposes. So I have enough. I would love more, but I have enough. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Let's see, we got a couple of good questions. Spartan B says, how do you build up? And by the way, anyone that's new here, welcome. There's no structure. So if you want to, like, if you got a running question, if you came with a running question today, feel free to just drop it in there. If I miss it the first time, just feel free to put it in. I apologize, and I'll find it eventually. Spartan B says, how do you build up stamina efficiently? Slow long runs, for example, or short, speedy uphill runs with a lot of reps? I think the science on that is that the answer is both will work. But I also think that there's something to be said for, like, it depends on like what you mean by, just because your username is Spartan Beast, and I'm thinking about like Spartan races. So like there's two different kinds of, when I think of stamina, I'm thinking, are you thinking about endurance, or are you thinking about maintaining a high level of power output, like on an obstacle course, like an obstacle course racing, or something where it's like a lot of bursts of anaerobic activity. For example, like if you were like on a bicycle course where there's just lots of hills and ups and downs, and on the downhills you're kind of like not resting but really relaxing compared to the uphill. So I think that it depends on what you mean by stamina. For like endurance running, I think that the best way to build up that is to just do lots of easy, low heart rate type of running. So that's how I would do that. But like if you're doing a lot of short uphill runs, that could be good for stamina, but it depends on like stamina for what. So I think that's like kind of the way I would look at it. But both are going to like cause adaptations in your body. Both are going to get, your mitochondria fired up to, or your cells fired up to develop more mitochondrial cells, things like that. Not cells, but mitochondria. So like they're both going to do that, but you also have, there's more than just like getting a cellular response that you're concerned with, I think, for your sport. Let's see. Scott says, been recording my runs with my new Hero 8. Last run was in fast mode, head shake. Oh, I don't like it when I do that. Sometimes when it's in like time lapse mode, it's so frustrating. Here's the other question I was looking for. Will Willing says, once you get down to smaller shoe sizes, like a men's 7.5 or an 8, does the weight penalty go down also, or does it even out if you're small and don't have a lot of power? That's a good question. I'm not really sure. I mean, I wouldn't say that like people that are small don't have a lot of power, because what's Seth? Seth's like a size 7, right? I would imagine that he has a lot of power coming out of his legs. And so for him, I'm sure there's a benefit because all shoes are a lot lighter for him. I think by a considerable amount too, if you compare like a size 7 to a size 9, which is my size. So I think there's that. But I feel like, a size 7 shoe, like what's the heaviest shoe? Like for a size 9, shoes are getting to in like the 11 and 12, 13 ounce category, which I just think is ridiculous. It's way too much. I'm not exactly sure what those convert to on Seth's videos. I know that he measures his and like tells you all the time, but I don't remember like how much of a difference it is. But also the other thing to consider though, because there's just less shoe. It's not just that there's less upper, there's less midsole too. So the stack height, the drop is going to be the same, but the absolute stack height I think is going to be different too. So that's something else to consider. I mean, I don't know how you can change that. Your size is your size, but I think that affects the kinds of shoes that a person likes. Carlos Seja says, what's wrong with the Torrent 4.5 plush? I don't know. I mean, for me, like it's giving me a lot of the same problems that the Endolepitet had. It just hurts my feet to run in it after a little while. So when it's good, it's good. But when it's not good, it's very not good for me. So it's just real spotty. I'm going to do another run with it probably next week. And then whatever the results are, because I've run already 3 times in it. So after the 4th run, I feel like it's a fair time to let it have a review. I know I didn't give the Endolepitet that many runs, but the Ultra had just, I feel like it had earned a little bit of, a couple more chances because I just enjoyed the Escalante and the Superior so much. So we'll see about it next week. Ines likes his pair of the Torrent 4.5 plush. And I know Shannon loves her Torrent 4s. And she's mad that I didn't get the 4. But maybe we'll see what happens with the 5. Steven Ibanez says, picked up the Endorphin Speed, loving the shoe. Not sure it's a daily trainer for me. Might get the Ride 13 as a daily. Thoughts? Happy New Year. I like the Ride 13 a lot as a daily trainer. I know that it's not out yet, but I ran in the today I ran in the 880 version 11. I really like that shoe, and it reminds me a lot of the Ride 13 in a lot of ways too. So that's just on my mind. But you're probably looking for a daily trainer a little bit sooner than that. So yeah, I think the Ride 13 would be a good pickup. I also think that if you like the Endorphin Speed, the Kinvara is definitely worth considering as well. So that's something that I would think about. Just to stay within the Saucony brand. But there's another shoe that I would look at would be the Beacon, even though that's a different brand. Walter Souza says, are you watching Ekiden in 2021? The foreigner students have dominated the first day. Oh, really? I haven't been watching. Is there a way to watch? Is it on YouTube? I guess if it's not on YouTube, I don't know how I would watch an Ekiden. I mean, I'm assuming it'd be in all Japanese too. And I guess I'm curious, what would a Japanese like announcing of a Ekiden be like? I thought I'd be really curious about. I hope it'd be like super intense and just like yelling the whole time. That would be great. I would love that. Dr. Funk says, anyone else remember the Krebs cycle? Good times. Yeah, I don't really remember it that much anymore, but I have some vague memories. Ben Browning said, how'd you get the topic of mitochondria? Key interest of mine. Oh, we're talking about it in terms of building stamina, whether you're doing long easy runs or lots of short like hill sprints, in terms of how to stimulate the body to generate more. That's how we got into it. Let's see. Ben Y says, I'm a US 11.5 and only 5'10". Need smaller feet to get lighter shoes. Yeah. Oh, Scotty B's here says, checking in. He's in the car again. He's doing a lot of driving for how snowy it is out there, Scotty. Hope be safe. John Culiano says, do you think the Chicago Marathon will take place in 2021? I don't know. I give it 50-50 at this point. I mean, Chicago's having a hard time with the virus, I think. And I don't think they're going to be all that interested in bringing the world in right away. It's going to depend on what happens in like the next 3 months. If we can get like a reasonable rollout of this vaccine and get a lot of people vaccinated, and a big test will be things like public school starting up. So I think Monday, some teachers start reporting to school, and then they're bringing like preschool, kindergarten, and special needs students. And then next month, they're bringing in like 70,000 other students. So it's going to be a lot of people all of a sudden starting to get together. And so we'll see what happens with the numbers with that. And then I don't know. I bet, I give it 50-50. Yeah. Maui Swift says, Seth is a 7.5. Oh, okay. I thought he was a 7 for some reason, but okay, 7.5. It seems, I don't know why I felt like it sounded like he had a really small shoe size, but 7.5 doesn't seem that small. And Jody says, on the other hand, so I can buy my size 12 feet for running slow. I mean, you get heavier shoes for sure. Yeah, so there's that. I know, you know what? I've never met so many people who have like more than like a size 10 or 11 shoe, and so I really started making a lot of these videos. And then I hear a lot of all like the problems that people with larger feet have, like getting half sizes. It's just hard. It's difficult. I feel for you guys. Carl J says, I think I'm getting some weird left hip IT band thing, and I think it's due to always running on the same side of the road against traffic. Is this a thing? I think it is. I feel like one of the things, I don't think that's what caused it, but one of the things that certainly exacerbated, I had a runner's knee issue. It wasn't IT band, but I think a lot of it was glute related, and maybe yours is too. And I have a follow-up to this too, point to this too, but like my right knee was all messed up for a while. And I think part of what it was is that I switched to the correct side of the road, air quotes. I mean, there's no air quotes needed. That's the correct side of the road to run by Iowa law here. And generally, well, Chicago ordinance is a little different. But yeah, for the most states, it says like if you're running, run against traffic. But the roads here are really pitched, very pitched here. And so I feel like that kind of like screwed me up a little bit. It was one of the many things that screwed me up. There's a couple of things working together. And once I kind of realized that, I started going back to the side I like, the right-hand side, and that really helped my symptoms out quite a bit. Here's the follow-up part. So I've been mentioning to get you guys a couple of days in a row that my left hip has been really weird. And today I started feeling, and then not just today, maybe yesterday and the day before that too, I started feeling some things going on in my left knee. And I was like, oh, I don't know what's going on with that, but this kind of feels familiar. I kind of know what this is like. And so I think I'm going to start going back to, doing some more massage around the kneecap, trying to get because I thought I felt like I had a tendonitis. So I felt massaging that, doing some more of the strength exercises that were very focused. And I'm going to start doing that. And one of the things I did for my run today was I switched up when I was running on the left or right hand side of the road. Here, it's really easy for me to do that. There's not many cars. So basically what I did, how I decided when to switch was when I saw a car coming, I went to the right side of the road. So that way I would give it the most space. And then when I saw a car or could sense a car approaching from behind me, then I would go to the left-hand side of the road. So I would again give it the most space. And then when I was on a road where I could see a long way in both directions and there was no one coming, I would just run down the middle. So that's what I did today. And I felt a lot better, both during the run and now afterwards as well. So I think it's a thing because of the pitch of the road. Mark says, are you wanting to get the Skechers Razor Elite 3? Emily seemed to be a big fan. I mean, I love the colors on that. I felt like, and then they released it right around Thanksgiving, and I was like, this just looks like Thanksgiving on a shoe. And I thought it was beautiful. And but then I saw like Thomas's review of it, and they were like, there's a little bit of carbon in it. And I know like what that sounds like to me is like, well, it's like the Skechers Speed Elite. And I hardly can feel the carbon in it. I feel like the carbon stabilizes the shoe more than propels the shoe. So I was just not that interested. But then I'm like, but you know what? That might be exactly what I need for like a marathon. Like a Razor 3, but with like just a little bit extra in it. Like if they called it like Razor 3 Extra, I think that'd be pretty funny. So maybe I'm kind of just waiting for a Skechers Razor Elite 4. Or a Razor 4. Right, it's Razor 3 Elite though, right? It's like the elite version of the Razor 3. Yeah, I mean, I know. Yeah, I'm interested in the shoe, but I don't know. I'm just really confused as to why Skechers just didn't go with a 4 this year. But yeah, so that's why I'm not as interested in it. Scott says, I'm trying to get more even pacing. I seem to go too fast, and my third mile pace is usually 30 seconds slower than the prior 2 miles. Tips on how to even pace, and is it important? I'm not that good at even pacing. One thing I would consider, Scott, is like is the terrain that you're running on flat, or at least the same kind of like grade or pitch, or like altitude change, slope. Because that could really affect your pacing. It could also just be like you're warming up. So like you say that like first 2 miles are too fast and third mile is slower. What's mile 4 and 5 like? So like if that's just what you get out too fast, you're excited to be running, and then like you ease into it, I think that's fine. But the other thing to think about is if you want to get better at even pacing, I would set up your watch to go at smaller chunks. So let me switch it over to kilometers. You can set some watches you can set to give you updates every half mile or quarter mile. So that way you'll just get more kind of feedback. Or you can just look at your watch more often. So there's another thing you can do. I don't think it's terribly important, but it is like a weird skill that I wish I had. There's like when you look at pro runners and they're like, go out there and run intervals at like 6 minutes a mile. They're like, fine. Now do it at 6:05, and they could do it like within a couple of seconds. I just think that's amazing that they have that like ability. And I think part of it is just they've run that many miles, and so they know what it feels like. But I don't have that ability, so I don't know how important it is. All right, let's get a couple more in here for today, and then I'm gonna get going. Carrie Smith says, I get out too fast too, Scott, especially in a race. Oh yeah. In a race, yeah, that's pretty much me. Is like first quarter of the race, I went out way too fast. Second quarter of the race, I'm panicking because I know I went out too fast. Third quarter of the race, I'm feeling emboldened. I'm like, maybe I can do this. And then the fourth quarter of the race is like, oh, I made a big mistake. So that's kind of how my races go. Sean Marshall says he can usually guess within 10 seconds. Yeah, see, I think that for some people it's just innate, and I think I equate it to like people that have perfect pitch. Like they could just do it. They know it. They can sense it and feel it. But not me. I have pretty good ear, but I don't have a good sense of how fast am I running. Mark Janko goes with me. I can never tell how fast I'm going either. Wade Weiss says, where'd it go? Is it good to run uphill first or downhill first? I like to run uphill first because then I get to run downhill later. I like to save the best for last. But I don't know that there's one that's better or worse than the other. Scott said Ed Bud is awesome at pacing. Each mile is 7. I mean, I'd love to pace a race. That's something that I want to do, and that's something that I've been thinking about for like the Kofuzi North American tour that will hopefully happen later this year. Is that like maybe I can contact some race directors or just figure out who like the pace groups are and be like, hey, can I pace like the 8-minute per mile marathon group? I can hit that for sure. You know, like I can 8-minute miles, 8-minute 30 miles. I know how to do those. I could do those all day. So like, I'd love to be able to do some pacing. I think that'd be fun. Or McGowan says, my watch died in the middle of a 5K time trial today. That's miserable. Oh, goodness. That stinks. That stinks so much. Sorry to hear about that. JC says, prediction runs are great fun for practicing running by feel. Oh, you know what would be a fun video to make? Is to like, I mean, I would need another person. But to go to a track and like run like 2 or 3 miles around the track and like guess how fast each quarter mile was. That'd be amazing. That'd be fun. I think that'd be fun. Kurt says, I have the RC Elites and love them, but thinking I'm getting another plate shoe. What would be a good one to pair it with? That gives me something different. Meta Racer, Adios, Hyperion. Yeah, I think that the Meta Racer is very different because it's got much more of that smooth kind of carbon feel where it doesn't really feel like there's carbon in it at all. Much like the Carbon X that we were talking about today. So that'd be one to look at, but I just can't run on that one very far. That's the only problem that I have with that shoe. I really hope that we get one of those prototype shoes that not only Sarah Hall is racing, but some other ASICS pros are running in now too. There's just so many of them right now, and I just want, I'm like, wow, can I just see that a little closer? Maybe I can just squeeze it. You know, I want to touch I just want to touch those shoes because they look amazing. But yeah, I would think that the Hyperion would be a very different feel for you as well. The Adios, I think, would be much firmer than the RC Elite, so that could be a good one too. So those are some options. Let's see. Mr. Random says, Kofuzi, do you think like Nike lineup a bit like Adidas confusing? Yeah, I mean, the Nike lineup still makes a lot of sense to me. I think they're testing a lot of stuff is what's happening. So they've got all these different like React shoes that they're making. They made the Miler, they made the Infinity. Now we've got the Infinity 2. We've got the Invincible coming up soon. So there's a lot new ones coming out, and they got rid of some of the React shoes. So they're just playing around with those models. So like that, I mean, I'm not really sure what those are for or who they're intended for a lot of the time. But the rest of like the more, well, like the Pegasus and the Vomero, those I understand. And the Alpha, I get that. So like those are, and the Next Percent, not the Tempo Next, I get those. I understand them. I feel like the way that they're demarcating, like where there's a shoe kind of for everything, those shoes make a lot more sense to me. Adidas, I don't know, like what happened with the Ultra Boost? It's not really max cushion anymore. Where did the Solar Boost go? What are all these other ones? Solar Drive, like I don't know. So that's where I get confused. SL20, RC 2.0, Takumi Sen, Adios 5, like there's a lot of shoes that overlap in the use case. And I'm just like, what am I supposed to do with all these? But that's, it's options, but like, I have a hard time kind of figuring out. Like today I was looking at the Brooks website, and Brooks shoes make a lot of sense to me right now, even though I don't love a lot of Brooks, but like they've got like the Glycerin, which is like the max cushion. Although I feel like as far as max cushion goes, it's one of my least favorite. But you've got the Ghost, which is like 12 millimeter drop with is it DNA Loft now? What, I don't know what, it's not the Biomogo. It's something else. It's that softer foam. So you got 12 millimeters, super soft. Then you've got the Launch, which is 10 millimeters of Biomogo. And then you've got the Revel, which is 8 millimeters Biomogo, I think. But so like that makes sense to me. You got like different shoes for different drops, and you know, thinner and thinner midsoles. So like that, like starting to make a lot more sense to me. But like Adidas is the most confusing. Nike's, it's not that the lineup is confusing. I just don't know what they're doing. Like, why is there no turbo? Yeah, so a lot of you guys are talking about having some goofy stuff happening with GPS today. I haven't looked at my GPS tracing. I don't normally look at it too close, but interesting. Sean Marshall says, high drop shoes just make me skeptical for some reason. Yeah, any shoe that's at 12, I'm just like, oh, well, like, are you sure? You don't want to try something else? You don't want to go to 10 on that one? I don't just feel like, I don't know. Dr. Rami Nader says, are you planning on reviewing the second version of the Infinity Run from Nike? I don't know, but I did see one that is like, I love the knit material, the knit material on the Infinity Run, the React Infinity Run 2 looks amazing. And they got one that's like mostly black with a gray midsole. So I'm like, they're speaking my language. So maybe, but probably not. I don't know. I'd be more inclined to review the Invincible just because that just looks like a tank. And I don't understand what that is, but I want to check it out. But I probably won't look at either one. I feel like those are going to be pretty well covered by everybody else. I don't know that I need to go there. Robin Ronquillo says, the only Brooks I've run in are the Revel 3 and the Adrenaline 19. Both are pretty good. Cool. Yeah. The Revel is one. I mean, Martha talks about it all the time. I gotta get a pair of the Revel. I was looking at them today. I almost pulled the trigger. But then I was like, oh, the Launch 8 just came out. So the Launch 7 is cheap. I'm like, when is the next Revel going to come out? Is that one to go cheaper? Not that I need it to go cheaper, but it's $100, which is a great value. But like the Launch 7 right now is $75. So I'm like, oh, that's really cheap. I wouldn't mind getting really cheap. JC's was my favorite pizza stack height. I'm going to start measuring them now, but you know, I'm a thin crust guy. I don't like super thin. I don't like ketchup on a cracker, like the St. Louis style pizza. That's too thin for me. But, you know, I like it with a crustier crust on the outside, a little bit of chew on it. And then, you know, like that, like neon orange cheese on top. And when you fold it, the grease drips out the back. That's the kind of pizza that I like. But, you know, I like all pizza. Of the thicker stack height pizzas, I enjoy Detroit style. It's very delicious. Mark Chankogo says, but talking about the Nike reviews, they get me tons of views. He says, "Oh well, I'm glad you only pick shoes you want." Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I need to do it for the views. Is to review some of those Nikes. But I mean, Ed Bud's got a pair of the React 2s. He's had a pair for a little while, right? So, yeah. So like he hopefully he's getting those views. So, Ben Browning says Kofuzi Pizza Hut running outfit. Yeah, I gotta get a pizza. I mean, I think we do have a pizza costume. We have a pizza costume at home. One time, my wife and I for Halloween were pizza and beer. So I mean, we like to do couples costumes. So like ketchup and mustard. She was ketchup. I was mustard because I'm yellow and I love ketchup. So like there was that. So we like to do that. But maybe I'll do a run. I'll have to do a pizza run. But that costume is back in Chicago. I gotta get that one. Oren McGowan says, any suggestions for a GPS watch that's affordable and is a fitness tracker, steps, etc., that I can wear as a watch? I'd say the Coros Pace 2 is probably the best value that's out there in GPS watches right now. The Garmin 245 is also a really good value as well. I had my first GPS watch was the Vivo Active 3. I think they're still selling that, and it's super cheap. It's only got one button, though, and I don't like watches with one button. But, yeah. but you could get it really cheap, and it's certainly solid. It works. Carlos says, "What's the 890 good for?" Speed. It's a speed shoe. I have the 890. I've run it once. It's beautiful this year. It's just very firm. All right. Let's see. Let's get one more. Carrie Smith says Kofuzi Pizza Club run. That'd be a fun one. Here's an idea. One of these days we just got to do a run where everyone on the same day wears a costume or something on the theme. Like if we had a pizza day, it could just be some weird day, like some random Saturday in February that gives everyone time to go get a costume, and then we'll just post pictures and inundate running Instagram with it on the same day. That would be fun. We should do that. We got to figure that out. CV76 says pizza got him distracted from the time. Yeah, I know I did. I'll just start talking about pizza for a long time. Ben Browning wants to know what's Detroit style pizza. It is a very thick dough. It is a lot of very sweet sauce. It's different than Chicago deep dish. Pizza Hut is probably like the closest to it. But imagine because the crust is usually a little bit crispy. There's oil and sometimes Parmesan cheese that they put underneath the crust when they bake it. But it's kind of like imagine I think the best way I could probably describe it is deep fried a Sicilian style pizza. So if you were to fry the crust of a Sicilian style pizza, that's kind of like Detroit style. It's good. If you ever had the opportunity, I would say try it. Yeah. All right. I think that's a good place to leave it for today. I'm starving. I'm going to go eat something. I got to go eat something now. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in today. Tomorrow's video is going to be about the 880 version 11. So that video will be up tomorrow. And then we'll do another live stream. Same time, 3 p.m. Central Time, right here on YouTube. Hopefully, I'll see you then. In the meantime, be safe out there, everybody.